Hello, welcome to Southern Wreaths. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to my channel. Today I'm going to make this square bubble wreath. I'm using 21-inch deco mesh and these items. I don't use the striped ribbon. I'm going to start by cutting my pipe cleaners in half. I decided to do the bubble method instead of adding the ties beforehand because I wasn't sure what would cover well. And since I'm using this metallic mesh, it has really good coverage compared to the regular deco mesh that you would use. I do start and stop my mesh with a zip tie just so I know it's not going to come loose. I've had things slide through pipe cleaners before, but if you're confident with that, then you can just use a pipe cleaner instead of a zip tie. I'm doing 10-inch poofs. This mesh is really thick and really rough on your hands, so it takes a minute to get it to pull out straight. But you want to make sure you're keeping it in kind of a circle shape in your hand. You create like a C with your hand, and it keeps the bubble shape. And I'm just going to use the half pipe cleaner, and I'm going to attach it to the center bar. If you were doing this with a round frame, you would just attach it to one or the other because there's 4 bars on a round frame. And you can also take turns alternating which one you attach it to. But this one was pretty simple because I just have one center bar. Now I didn't really have a formula to how I was doing this, like how many I was putting in each section. I'm just filling it up and just trying to make it look as even as possible. But if you wanted to be more precise, you could count how many you put. I wasn't really too concerned with it. It all looks good in the end. Now I'm doing the pipe cleaners pretty tight, but I'm not doing them so tight that I can't slide my poofs around because when I attach it, I need to be able to push it over. And I'm just going to quickly show you how I finish this one side so I can show you what I do at the turn. And I am fluffing in between each poof. And I'll go back later and fix the pipe cleaners so they're not sticking straight out the back. Alright, once I get done with this side, I'm going to put it on the outside bar at the end. And this for me just made the wreath stay square instead of rounding it off. And you also don't want to see the corner poking through. So by attaching it to the outside frame, when you turn, it covers everything. And I'm twisting probably 3 to 6 times depending on how tight or loose the pipe cleaner feels in my hand. But 3 times is enough to secure everything. Alright, so after I do the outside, I'm going to continue on the other side of my square. And I'm just going to push it up against what I've already done, and you'll see how I fluff it in just a second. I'm trying to pull the one through that's on the outside to cover that spot, and then the other one I fluff out. Now, if you don't like this corner the way it looks, you can do it a different way. I thought it was cute, and it brought out the square shape of the wreath. I ended up using about 1.5 rolls of this mesh. So once I got to the end, I used a zip tie, and then I'll open my other pack, bundle it just like I did when I started, and attach it right beside it. And don't worry about all that excess mesh, I'll cut that away in a second. I just wanted to show you how I start and stop it, and it covers up where all of this mesh is attached. Because at first it looks like, oh no, there's going to be a big gap there, but once you fill it in, you can't see the gap anymore. Alright, I'm just going to continue making the poofs at 10 inches and attaching them with my pipe cleaners. This is a really easy method, especially if you use a softer mesh. This mesh was really rough. Okay, so I am kind of cramming it in there so that I get the same effect all the way around with how many poofs I have. So on my last one, instead of using a pipe cleaner, I'm going to use a zip tie. And if it's easier for you, you can just use a pipe cleaner to attach it long enough for you to get the zip tie, because sometimes zip ties are hard to manage with one hand. And I'll just cut away the zip tie. Now I'm just going to cut this away so I can work with it. And I'll flip it over and pull the mesh through to the back. And then I'll just trim it away. I want it sticking out of the back instead of the front. I didn't want any of these strings or anything to start coming out. After I've got that trimmed away, I go through and push the pipe cleaners back through towards the front of the wreath. It's not going to go all the way through to where anyone can see it on the front, so it's super simple. You just push it through. The pipe cleaners aren't long enough to make a difference. I decided to add some ribbon, so I'm going to use this red sheer ribbon and the candy cane ribbon you can see on the left. And I just like to use my piece of cardboard that's almost 12 inches, and I'll just wrap it around. I forget how many sections I added, but I went through and counted how many I would need and just pre-cut those. After I wrap it as many times as I need, it's usually 7. I wouldn't go more than 8. I'm going to cut either end, and then I get the perfect amount of ribbons. I'll do this with the candy cane and the sheer. And now I'm just going to get a stack of them, 2 to 3 depending on how thick your ribbon is, and I'm going to dovetail the ends. I just really like the way this looks. It gives it a nice finished look, and it's just pretty. I'm going to make bundles of ribbon since I don't have any pipe cleaners attached to the frame. So I'll just use half of a pipe cleaner like I did with the poofs. And I'll gather my ribbon, fold it in half. Where it creases in the middle, I'll pinch it, and then I'll put the pipe cleaner there and twist it, kind of pulling up on the ribbon. And I'll go through and do this with all of them so I get a bunch of bundles. And then to attach it, I just pull apart the mesh and put the pipe cleaner on either side of where I've attached the mesh to the frame, and then just twist it around the back. If you have trouble with this, you can use a full pipe cleaner and then just trim it away later. And I'm just going to fluff my ribbon out. I like to do it in an X. And I add 3 to each side. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I end up with 8 bundles. And I do move this one over this on the right, the very first one I added, because I want it more in the corner. And I'll just show you how I did it again. Alright, and now I'm going to go through and push the pipe cleaners from the ribbons back forward because I don't want them to stick out the back. And now I had to figure out which way I wanted to put my sign on. I didn't know if I wanted it to be sideways or straight. I decided to go straight. I thought it was cute and it covered the middle perfectly. So I'm just going to cut away the string there. And here's a tip. Take off the dollar sign on the back. I actually took this to a craft show and had to peel it off while I was there. I don't think it looked very professional. And I'm just going to use some pipe cleaners and my staple gun to attach these. I do put a piece of cardboard in the middle, and since the cardboard was kind of thin, I folded it in half because the sign is super thin and you don't want the staples to poke through. They did poke through just a tiny bit, but not enough for you to see. And I'm going to attach it like I do with any wreath. I'm just going to feed it through to the back and twist it around the frame. And I'll do that to both sides. That's it. That's how I did my square bubble method wreath. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, or you can email me at craftingwithlee@yahoo.com. Thank you so much for watching, and if y'all learned anything today, if you like my video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.